everyone. Nicole Christina
Hello.
here, psychotherapist and podcaster. And this is my friend and colleague, Carrie Luderin, a professional organizer.
Hi.
And we are here to talk about boosting your mood with mini decluttering. And Carrie and I have a course that we've worked on for a while, and we presented it live when you could do those things. And it got a lot of positive feedback, but we're really tweaking it and tweaking our message now because people are feeling, this is the clinical term, really blah, really, really awful. Just like what I'm hearing from my clients mostly is that people are just so unmotivated and kind of even a little frustrated that they're not motivated because they're like, I have so much time. I could be doing I could learn Spanish. I could do all these things. I could, paint. I can do these things that I haven't had time for. But what we're finding across the board is people are just not feeling energetic. They're not feeling like they have much concentration. They're feeling super distracted. And of course, we all know it's because we don't know what's next here. We don't feel a lot of control, and we don't feel much of a sense of an accomplishment, I think, where you're just like, and a lot of people have used these terms, but it's like Groundhog Day, and it's sort of numbing in a way. And I was noticing my own mental health yesterday when I found myself going all over the county looking for bread flour. If I was a professional baker, that might be an okay thing. I am not. I was quite aware that I was looking for something to focus on because I just didn't want to be thinking about how life is feeling so unsettled and how there's so much worry out there. Are you having that experience at all, Carrie?
Oh, absolutely. And the motivation piece, I think that really hits home for me. Like the fact that there is no structured time. Before we logged on, I said like time has become immaterial. Like it just doesn't mean anything anymore. And so the idea of having things to do, it's just so easy to put them off because there's really there's no deadline to anything anymore, it seems. And that's just really weird to like wrap your brain around and to get moving sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that especially if you're someone who tends to like structure, people are
That's
different in
me.
that way. Yeah, you're the queen of structure.
Yeah, I don't deal well with this, like nothing
Amorphous
needs to
kind of
happen
thing.
anytime. Yeah.
And when Carrie and I were talking about having this Facebook Live, we were saying, it's just too much to ask of anyone to say, let's declutter. Let's go through all of those overflowing boxes in your garage or your basement. And let's get excited because people just don't have the energy or motivation.
Right.
That sounds like a big setup.
I'm hearing a lot of mixed things. Some people have taken this time and they're finding that is something that gives them focus or, is helping in this. But as many people as I hear saying that, I hear a lot of people saying like, yeah, I just can't get myself geared up to do that. So that's kind of why we wanted to jump on today. Because I think it's because we're spending so much time at home, it is something important and it's impactful. It can really affect our emotional state, the way our house looks. But at the same time, I think a lot of us are struggling with this lack of motivation to really do anything about it. So we wanted to maybe share a few tools today.
That sounds good. I think that's really well said. And when we're running around now, this may not be you, but a lot of us are joking about wearing our sweatpants. It's like an endless Sunday or an endless sick day.
Yes.
And so this conversation is going to be about, we know that people want a better mood, a little uplift, and we know that doing these mini decluttering projects can really be helpful in just getting a little bit of traction and feeling like, oh, well, at least I cleaned this today. I'm still in the sweatpants I was wearing this morning. Don't
That's
remember
okay.
if I took a shower, but boy, this drawer looks great. And it's important for us to feel some sense of accomplishment, some sense of control, and some sense of agency. So start us off, Carrie, and give us an example maybe of what's a micro decluttering project
Oh
that you
gosh.
think people would feel like they're it's manageable yet gives them a little mood boost.
Sure. I think just, setting our sights very small at this point. So rather than saying like, I'm going to clean the basement out, like maybe there's, one box that you could, and maybe even bringing it out of the basement so you're not feeling overwhelmed by that environment.
Separate.
But I did come up with a list of tasks that I said, maybe it would be a reasonable amount of time to spend 20 minutes doing each of these. Excuse me. And when we're talking about motivation, I think one tool that might be helpful, especially now, is using a timer, because we don't have real deadlines on our time anymore. So giving yourself these artificial deadlines. So maybe setting a timer for 20 minutes if that feels like doable to you. And I have this PDF. It's kind of a checklist of places or items that you can declutter. And I'll link to this when we wrap up the conversation. But things like cleaning out a junk drawer, or addressing the top of your kitchen cabinets, like those areas that you never look in.
You need a chair, right?
Exactly.
I do anyway.
What's above that? What's in that cabinet above the fridge or above the range hood? Like you haven't looked in there in 5 years. So maybe,
and you hope it's not alive.
Yeah. Or some weird appliance that, you used once. So those might be spots. Looking through your gift wrap and decluttering that. I don't know about you, but I have, some rolls of gift wrap. I haven't actually wrapped a box in years. It's the world of gift bags. So maybe some of that stuff can go. A lot of people are doing like board games and video games now, maybe just going through that stuff and getting rid of the things that are missing pieces, are no longer usable. Going through just like your toiletries, maybe in the medicine cabinet, or if you have, drawers in your vanity, just pulling that stuff out. That's usually full of expired items, things that you haven't used in years. So that's kind of an easy one to do. Going through, you could do some technology decluttering, like the apps on your phone. That might not be like a real long term, something that takes a lot of time, but just, go through all of the folders on your phone. Like what have you not used in, the last couple of months, and can it go? It's taking up space on there. Or your computer desktop, can you do a little organizing of that? So I think just picking, like a manageable project that really isn't gonna feel overwhelming in the moment, setting a timer for yourself. And even if you don't get it completely done in that amount of time, you'll feel like, hey, I started that project, or I made a little dent in it. And I think that can maybe give us a little bit of a boost to feel like we've accomplished something.
I think that's really great. And, there's this sense that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that is what we don't have now. We don't know what the end looks like. We don't even know where we are. We may be in the middle. We're not sure. And, it's so funny. And we've talked about this before, and we've heard this in our courses too. But as I said the other day, I did my silverware drawer. And I can't tell you how excited and proud I was.
I know, you feel good, right?
You feel good. I'm like, there are no crumbs. Everything is, I don't need like 25 of those covers that cover the dog and cat food. two
Mm-hmm.
is gonna
Right.
do
Right.
it. And, like, it's just offers this ease and clarity and simplification that just lightens the mood, and it feels almost magical. Do
It
you
does.
have that sense?
Oh, yeah. And I think when you address a space like that you use every day, it really does have an impact because it's something, when something annoys you, even if it's just a tiny bit,
Mhm.
if you have to dig in the back of that drawer every morning to get that, whatever it is, it's just like one little thing, but I feel like we're all sort of on the edge and those little things can kind of push us over. So if you can just, we're talking about things that make your life just incrementally a little bit easier, but
Mhm.
if you chip away at those things little by little, I think it will start to feel a little lighter at home.
And this is my new thing now. I'm just talking about small wins. I think that in the age of COVID, when everything's upside down, we don't know what's happening, when it's going to happen, what our lives are going to look like. This idea is that I don't have a lot of control, but
Right.
I can clean out my spice drawer and look at the spices that I don't even know what to do with, and they seem pretty old.
Right.
At least I could have a space that's user friendly and that doesn't annoy me.
Right. And I mean, our homes, most of us are spending all of our time or most of our time at home now. So, um, maybe it's a little lofty to say it's going to be your sanctuary right now, but, can we make it feel a little bit better, a little bit less chaotic at home? Because, like you say, the outside world is total chaos right now, and we don't have a lot of certainty about things. So, if we can reduce that feeling in our physical environment, then maybe that will help us with that little bit of mood boost that we all need.
Yeah, I remember Maria Montessori used to talk about why it's so important for children to learn where things go, that her belief, and I think has been proven by some scientific studies, is that you can't think clearly when your environment is in chaos. Like, your brain is trying to attend to all this chaos and make sense of it, the clutter. It makes for clutter in your brain as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. And if there are particular spaces that people are spending a lot of time in, like say in your living room watching stuff on Netflix, that are there things there that you can kind of take control of? So even if it's just clearing off like the coffee table or the side
Mhm.
tables wherever stuff is getting piled up, do you have some baskets or containers around that you can maybe just get the kids toys in, or the Legos or whatever it is that happens to be
Mhm.
out, even if it's not like, we can do away with like things being perfectly organized and labeled and alphabetized and all that right now, and just get
Mhm.
it good enough so that it doesn't feel so crazy, but it also doesn't require a huge amount of, effort that you maybe are not feeling to put in right now.
You know what I'm hoping for people is that when they do these mini decluttering projects, that it helps them, of course, their mood boost, and also maybe just feel a little more energy to feel like, wait a minute, that felt so good. I want to try, looking through my makeup. I don't need 46 eyeliners or because I only
Right.
use one. I mean, it sort of builds on itself. And this isn't to set you up for, a big project, but I find that it is like reinforcing. You're like, that wasn't hard and
Right.
it paid huge rewards. I want to do that again, maybe after I take my nap.
Right, right. I mean, I feel that way kind of about exercise. Like it can get hard. It can feel hard to get going doing that. But then when I
Mhm.
get out for a walk or do something, yeah, it just feels so much better. And it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that again. So,
Mhm.
yeah, these are, I think, things too that can maybe get the ball rolling a little bit,
Mhm.
and also maybe give us that little bit of structure that we could use right now too.
Yeah, I think so. Um, so we do have this course, and it's a little different because I'm a psychotherapist, you're a professional organizer, and we come together and we talk about the different aspects of, decluttering and why it's hard, and that if it were so easy to just put things in piles, everyone would have a wonderfully clear and spacious living area. Do you want to talk a little bit about the course and
Sure. I think you said it well that because we come at this with our two perspectives, I am sort of on the practical end of the, decluttering and addressing the physical stuff. But, you're bringing to the table addressing people's mental and emotional health. And this is a process like getting organized, getting rid of things, especially can be a little bit emotionally triggering. We're digging through stuff from our past. We're digging through stuff that maybe belonged to people that are no longer with us, and that can bring up some real feelings. And I think oftentimes that's what stands in the way of moving forward with the process is, it starts to feel kind of icky or uncomfortable, and it's like, oh, I'm just going to stop here, or I'm going to avoid
That's a
those
great
things.
word. It's that icky, and
It's
you don't even know what it is because it's a
right.
hodgepodge of old feelings that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily consistent. There's a lot
Yeah.
of ambivalence, and then before you know it, you're just like, I'm going upstairs and
Right.
getting a snack.
Mixed feelings about family
Mhm.
or about their past or past relationships. Like it's all a mixed
Mhm.
bag, and our stuff can represent those feelings to us. And so when we start going through it, so I think in our course, we try to specifically address that and give people some ways of dealing with the ickiness when it comes up, to help you maybe not overcome it, but to manage it and to continue with the process without, feeling just like I'm going to throw in the towel. Trying
Mhm.
to get momentum is
It's
everything,
everything now.
right?
I think
Yeah.
that's a really good,
Thank you,
that's
Lisa, for that comment.
a really good. She also has a funny comment. She said, maybe you'll find some bonus hand sanitizer when you're decluttering your toilet
I will
or
say
bleach.
that's, oh gosh, public
We won't go
service
there.
announcement. Don't
Yes,
ingest it.
don't ingest bleach.
I will say that with the clients that I work with, we almost always find money in some form or another when we're decluttering, whether
There's your
it's
motivation.
cash or a gift card that hasn't expired or some good coupons. So if that helps motivate, there's the we could all use a little extra funds right now. So maybe they're hanging out in some hidden drawer somewhere.
What's the weirdest thing that people have ever found when you've gone on your declutter? I mean, if you can say it on
Um,
the air.
I'm trying to think of nothing really. I'm sure there's been super weird things, but yeah, I'll ponder that. I'm sure I'll come up with
Mhm,
something good. But I
mhm.
mean, you can just think of the stuff that's like hiding in your home, and then you have a virtual stranger come in and start digging through it with you, and
Oh
it can be.
gosh.
Yeah, what I do, it requires a real level of trust, and
Mhm.
it's a confidential process. Like I have some background in research and about confidentiality, and I bring that to this job too because it's, again, you're dealing with people's personal items and emotional stuff, and also things like financial documents and all of that. So
You have to have a sensitivity towards that.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
mhm,
Absolutely. So
mhm,
I think, one of the things, if we can maybe talk specifically about something that we cover in our course, the first lesson, so there are 4 video lessons with Nicole and I as part of the course, and it is a self-directed thing. You can go through them at your own pace. But the first one is about motivation and specifically getting yourself going in the process. And one of the things that we talk about is finding your own motivation. And I think this might be
mhm,
helpful for what people are going through now. Um, there is the motivation of, oh, my house is a mess and I'm tripping over stuff or whatever. And that certainly could be the reason. But I think if we can dig just a little deeper and ask ourselves, how do we want to feel when we're at home? Kind of going back to this idea of, creating a space that is a sanctuary or that makes you feel good to be in. And doing, even if you do a little bit of visualizing of like, how would it be if everything had a place, or if stuff wasn't strewn all over right now, and what would be the experience of being there? And if you can kind of use that thought as your motivation, I think that might help keep you going a little bit further, because you have that goal in mind of creating something. At this point in time, it might be just having a little bit of peace and calm in your life.
I think that's a really good point. And even articulating to yourself, these are really hard times. I'm worried about people who are in a lot of pain physically and emotionally and financially. It's tough for me not to know what's going to happen with all of this. What can I do to help myself feel better? And I think those are important questions, and bringing a little order to your space, that can be so helpful. And it's interesting to hear. I don't know if you've ever heard people who have house cleaners. They'll say, "Oh my gosh, I came home. It was so clean. It's the best feeling to have everything put away." Now, I'm not suggesting everyone can get a house cleaner, but people really experience it very viscerally, to be in a space that is pleasant. And now more than ever, I think that that's one thing we can do for ourselves.
Right.
Because we are all kind of grappling with, what am I going to do to help me feel like a little bit more myself?
Yeah, I think that is one thing that's in our control right now, when we don't have a lot of control over anything. And maybe capitalizing on that can help bring just a little bit more calm in our lives. Definitely.
One thing, I was just thinking of what a good process might be in terms of finding like that sweet spot of what a mini or a micro decluttering project would be. And I'm imagining like looking at your closet, or I'm looking at my closet. Okay, do I want to go and like iron the stuff that needs to be ironed? Nope, let's try something else. Do I want to at least pull the boots out, even though we're in upstate New York? I have some pretty tall snow boots. Hopefully I'm not going to need. Well, I can do that. Yeah, hopefully. So like, okay, I can do that. I can pull the boots out. Then what's next? There's a lot of dust bunnies. Can I get the vacuum out? Yes. So it's like, it's not like this, I'm going to take care of this mess. It's really breaking it down and chunking it down. Do I have enough energy to like put the sweaters here and the t-shirts here and the pants and the skirts, whatever? Yeah, I can muster that up. So that's what I think we're talking about, is how does it, you don't have to get to the very end, but it's more about like, what's the next little step I can take that's not going to be totally exhausting and get me grouchy.
Right. And I think if, you can just keep chipping away at that process, even if it's, a few minutes a day. It's kind of similar to like the process of doing laundry. Like for most people, laundry is never really done, right? we're always generating more. And so the idea that like, oh, I'm going to do all the laundry today is probably unrealistic, but can you just move it from like whatever step it's in now to the next step?
Next step.
Yeah. Can I just fold the stuff today? And then it's like, okay, that was enough. And then tomorrow I'll put it away. So it's sort of getting at the same thing with your decluttering projects. You might not clean out your entire fridge and freezer today, but can you do like this one drawer, or clean out, just the freezer today and then save the rest for another day? And if you can can get some momentum going, that you can continue to revisit
Mhm.
that project,
I feel
then
good about.
yeah, and it doesn't take like a
Mhm.
big investment in the moment.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that's really, a great process, and just helps people feel like they're inching towards the feeling they wanna have without being completely, overwhelmed and also feeling defeated. That's the
Yeah,
last thing we want right now, is for people to feel defeated.
right.
So where can people find your lovely, list of suggestions?
I have it posted. It's a PDF that you can just download if you want to print it out, put it on your
Mhm.
fridge. And it's really just a list of a few areas in your home, like I mentioned, that I think make for a good little small project. But
Mhm.
I'll put the link to that below the video here, and we'll also link to
Mhm.
our course if people want to check that out. Like I said, it's it's a self-guided thing. It
Mhm.
includes a printable workbook that has questions that help with a little bit of this reflection. Like I said, chapter or lesson 1 is about motivation. Some questions to get you
Mhm.
thinking about some of these things. What does motivate you? Um, and then you can kind of work through it at your own pace. If
Mhm.
that feels, if you think doing something like, a course right now feels good, and if not, then that's okay too, because we're all just trying to get through the day.
We're trying to get through. It occurred to me that our workbook asks a lot of questions about, like, why, as you said, why, what difference would it make? What are you trying to do here? How is it going to, feel better? And I could see somebody right now just going through the workbook and then sort of saying, I want to do this. I don't have the energy right now, but it's something that I see for my future. Let me give some thought to it. Let me get sort of the ball rolling. Let me understand myself and my relation to my clutter right now. And then when things feel more stable, I
Hmm.
kind of have a jump start on the next part of
Yeah,
this,
I
which is
think
doing the
that's a
physical
great way
work.
to look at it. And
Mhm.
the questions in the workbook are almost like guided journal prompts a little
Mhm.
bit, and
Mhm.
you can kind of take that for whatever you want. It could just be a very, brief, explanation. But if you want to dig a little deeper, I know some people find journaling to be therapeutic, and I think, yeah, it might be that might be useful for people now.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
I just thought of one of these micro decluttering that I think
mhm.
a lot of people can relate to. Is I probably you probably don't have this problem, Carrie, but a lot of us put fridge magnets up, and they just
Oh,
kind of like, ugh, it just after a while just looks like a bunch of clutter that you're always looking at. And there's stuff that's not really that important, but you can't find another place for it.
mhm.
I know that in the past, when I've cleaned off my refrigerator, just had those couple really important lists or phone numbers, that's a really nice project because it does not take long and it's immediate gratification.
That's a great tip. I agree that the fridge can be this like catch-all space, and
Mhm.
just taking everything off of it, just, and these are experimental things. Like, if you usually have a lot of stuff hanging in the fridge, just remove it all and live with it for a day and see if you feel better or lighter when you're in your kitchen. And if you miss the stuff, or if you find it was most convenient to store it there, you can always go back. But
Mhm.
yeah, this is a good time for doing some of those little experiments with yourself to see how they feel. So
That
that's
sounds
that's a
great.
great spot to try that.
So just to sort of wrap up here, we're talking today about boosting your mood by doing some little teeny manageable mini decluttering projects that can help you feel a sense of accomplishment and to get a little traction out of that kind of blah general malaise type of gray mood. We're really, really waiting for the sun to come out in Syracuse. The other day we
Yeah.
woke up to a couple inches of snow. Um, that was really tough. But
Mm-hmm.
really just talking about the power and the benefit of taking on some manageable jobs that ultimately make you feel like you're accomplishing something and you're getting a mood boost. Our course is called Too Much Stuff. It says, as Carrie said, it's a self-guided course. We've done it live before. People were very gracious about it, gave us a lot of positive feedback, and we think it can be really helpful. So we'll give you that information and you can link on to that.
Yeah, we'll have that down below.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Good luck, everybody. Sending good vibes for feeling better and getting through this.
Yep. Thanks. Good talking to you, Nicole.
Bye-bye, Carrie.
Bye.